Hey crew, how are we doing? We have got a coach interview. We haven't done one for a couple of months, so really, really good to get one under the belt with a really successful coach who's got a few different things happening at the moment. It's getting pretty exciting for him, making a bit of a change and going back to his homeland. But we've got Mark Govier here, so this is going to be a really, really cool chat because Mark, you've had a pretty cool experience on Skillest, but you're coming, from one of the greatest academies in the world, Altus. So you would have learned a lot there. But mate, thanks for being here.
Appreciate it. No problems at all. It's good to have a chat.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great because you've been incredibly successful on the platform, and we know, like for people starting out, it can be really difficult to get any sort of traction. Right? That can be the biggest challenge for most people that come to the platform to start with. Do you want to talk about like what were your initial thoughts when you started? What your expectations were, and really how you thought about getting airborne initially? Or actually, even before we do that, really, really quickly, sorry, I should have jumped in here. Tell us a bit about yourself. Let's do that,
Yeah.
actually. Like, just give us like 2 minutes on who you are.
Okay. I work currently with Altus. I've been performance based in Dallas. I've been here for 3 years. I'm originally from Wales. I was working sort of as a full-time golf coach back home, working with a lot of players, right from recreational through to county, international, and professional level. And then in 2021, when lockdown came, I got an opportunity to be put in touch with Cameron, and we had a good chat. And then I ended up coming out here and working as a high performance coach with Altus. And now it's very much like competitive juniors, college players or aspiring college players, and then obviously touring professionals, working with some players then on some of the main tours as well. So it's been an awesome experience working with some amazing talent out here.
What have you learnt the most, like moving from Wales and then to Dallas in particular, one of the, probably meccas of golf in a way, Texas in
Yeah.
particular?
Yeah, I think it's just the sort of the depth of the players here is so big. The ambition is so high, and that was when I think one of the biggest things that I found as a coach was, I wanted the opportunity to work with some of the best players who are trying to achieve the highest levels, and coming out here, the aspirations are just very, very high of the players, and they're in a situation where they can access the resources to really be able to see you more regularly. Whereas sometimes, when you're doing your normal coaching, you're seeing players for maybe an hour a month, and really you're putting out fires essentially. But then when you come and you're seeing these sort of players, they're seeing you so regular, you get sort of more depth into your coaching. So that's been probably the biggest thing, is just be able to have these high performing players who have extra time to spend time with you, really have high ambition. So it's been awesome. So you can just do all the extra layers that you don't normally do when you're seeing someone for an hour a month.
Amazing, yeah. And it's probably made you more ambitious, I would imagine. Like when you see the bright lights like that, like there's just no doubt. It's
Yeah.
like, holy smokes, like there is such a world of
Yeah.
opportunity out there. There's so much money out there. There's so many people to access, sort of thing. Yeah, like talk to us about your initial experience on Skillest. Because had you heard about Skillest before you started with
Yeah.
Altus, or did it come post that?
Yeah, well, randomly, I mean, I looked at it a few years back, and this was prior to lockdown. And then I was sort of looking into it, and I just at that time it just wasn't the right time. I would then start to make the move across to Altus, and I was just focused on very much the in-person coaching and just trying to do a really good job of that. And then we were doing a little bit of online anyway, particularly when lockdown came. I had like an online platform going, but it was just my own personal one that was running, and that was sort of ticking over. It was great through lockdown. And then when I got here, it was like right flat out into the day-to-day coaching. And then when the Skillest thing came around, well, I was looking on the platform. I was like, wow, this is like really popping. There's like loads going on. And I was just excited about the opportunity to reach out to a different audience again, because now you've got this worldwide audience. You're not confined by your environment or where you are. You now can just open up to anyone and any person across the world. And it's been so cool to be able to deal with these players and see their development and see them doing well. And that's right from the recreational golfer through to pros that I'm working with that you've never met in person, or college golfers I've never met in person. Just how effective the platform is incredible, because especially when they're on the subscription model, you have this very high touch point where you're just constantly, never letting them go off the rails, so to speak. You're giving them a little bit of autonomy, but you're also there to be able to pull the leash and keep them in line.
I know you use like all the features quite well as well. So you've got the group chat going with all of your subscribers. You
Yeah.
include every single subscriber in that group chat. Has that been effective? Like, do you find like everyone talking together is effective?
That was the game changer. I think it just, what I wanted to do, I want to have a good amount of subscribers, but I really want to make it quality more important. And I wanted it to be a community. And when I put the group chat in there, that was probably the separator that really, I think, brought everyone together. Like every time we do a US Open or a US PGA, we all pick our top three, and whoever the winner is, they get like an unlimited month or they get a free online lesson. So we get everyone chatting and interacting. They all request what they want to see video wise. So I post stuff exclusively in there for them as like an added benefit to being a subscriber. So yeah, I think that was definitely a separator by getting that group going.
I know a lot of people have struggled to get their groups going because they try like one thing, nothing, no one says anything, and they don't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, what would you recommend to people out there that have got like groups going for either their in-person students or their subscribers?
Yeah, totally. Just be persistent. I think that's the key thing is you've just got to be persistent. I remember the first week or two, I was very quiet in there. It was like tumbleweed, you know, and I'll be constantly posting videos, maybe occasional little heart in there. And then eventually over a few weeks of just being very, very consistent and just looking at different things to sort of get interaction. Like I said, the competition one was brilliant. That was one of the ones that really got people, you know, everyone wants to win something free, don't they? So then that got people interacting a little bit. And it was cool then because we had some guys like posting some pictures of them being at the US Open. It was like, it was great. And that's what I want to try to continue to build on is really creating that like community that brings people together and feels like you're all learning together. You're not just on your own, you know, just, you know, don't want to be on an island.
That's awesome. And I think that people just underestimate how difficult community is to build, right?
Oh, man.
Community doesn't just happen. You've got to be so deliberate. It's like Skillest. Like our community grew and the network effect grew when people became emboldened to communicate with each other. And like, you know, the more students we've got, the more coaches that come in, the more like that stuff doesn't happen by accident. Like you need to be so proactive. It's ridiculous. And obviously Mark has done that incredibly well. So that's really, really cool to hear. So everyone out there, these groups are so powerful for retention, engagement, all those things. Like get into it, like absolutely give it a crack, as we say. But mate, even before that though, let's go prior to even community building. Like what were your expectations when you first started? Did you think people would flood in? I mean, the fact that you've already told me about the persistence that it required to build community makes me think, well, it would have been the exact same thing probably with your online stuff, like individually. Do you want to talk about the first month, what you expected, what you did, and then how that went?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, you know, I started on the platform. I had a decent Instagram following. So I was sort of thinking, right, I could really target that audience. And again, being persistent with that, making sure the post had funneling and ways to drive people to my Skillest. It took a bit of time after maybe a week or so. Okay, the first subscriber came in. I was like, oh, cool, we're off and running, you know, and then just slowly by being, again, just keeping persistent with the social media stuff, because that's an obvious avenue to get. And then actually just maybe initially I did the free reviews, the free consultations at the beginning, just to try to get people to understand me as a coach and get an understanding of like how my sort of philosophy worked. So that was something I definitely did at the beginning, was worth putting a little bit of free time out there so people could really buy into it.
Especially at the start, like when you start at zero, like you need to do a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, like, look, online's tough. Like, you know, it's obviously it's growing and growing, and like we're getting closer to people being like, well, of course this is the way I want to learn. But like building an online business is very difficult when you're in person, you've got a captive audience. All that stuff is like really easy to do, right? But I mean, getting busy in person at a relatively good facility is pretty easy. Even as a great coach, getting busy online can be quite tough at times, right?
Yeah.
So it does just take that little bit of persistence. And often coaches don't even get to that point where they just like, let's give away a little bit of stuff just to like get the sticks rubbing together a little bit of time and get it all happening sort of thing. So, I mean, the really, really exciting thing is, or actually even before I talk about like what's next for you sort of thing, like, can you let's talk about retention, because I think you are really good with you're retaining your students over a period of time. What have you noticed you need to do with students? over the period of a month to ensure that they're still around in a month's time? Like beyond the community stuff, which obviously helps with that, like are there little tactics you do to retain students week to week, month to month?
Yeah, I would say from the actual physical delivery of the sessions, I tend to always demonstrate for every single lesson. I don't ever just voiceover. I tend to always do a voiceover first, all the lines, do some comparisons. Then I'll tend to do a demonstration video. I think that definitely helps. They feel like they can see you and sort of use that little bit of maybe extra, which for me has definitely helped retention. Being attentive, I think, is an important part as well. Just having a check-in. Hey, just checking in, mate. How you getting on? Like, how's that first move going? Those little things are important. I tend to do that more in a video because I think it feels a little bit more personal. So rather than me texting something which should be a bit generic, I would prefer that sometimes just like I'm doing here, I'll just have the camera running and I'll just be saying, hey, just checking in. How you getting on? Hope everything's good. And just creating what I think is in a person is very easy to create. And I think people buy into people. And I think if it's difficult sometimes to buy into a person on the internet unless you can create this sort of thing, this chat, where they can see you and they can sort of get an understanding of you as a person. I think that's probably some of the things that I'm still learning. I mean, I'm still, trying to get as good as I possibly can. But over the last 6 months of doing it, trial and error, those are the things that I feel are a little bit of a separator.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You need to humanize it as much as possible because you aren't there in person. Like, what can you do to make it feel not necessarily in person, but personal at the very least? Like, you need to give people that engagement, fall in love with you, fall in love with your story. You want them to feel like, they want you to be proud of them, when they play well, and you want them to send you a message and feel like, they can send a message when they play well and stuff like that, and you can reflect on that. I think that's absolutely incredible. I think something that coaches don't do enough is exactly what you said, but like often coaches will say to me, oh, I haven't heard from that guy in a while, right? He mustn't be into it, or, he's not enjoying this. More often than not, the student just doesn't know what to do next. Like, so that, what's next? Like, am I sending you a video on a Zoom? Are you, going to reflect on my Arcos data? Like, what's next? It's not that, they might have a million questions going through their head and they don't want to annoy you. It's just like, you just want to jump in there and just like let them know what next is, whether it is
100%, without a doubt. I think you're right. That's the biggest thing, isn't it? Into an in-person, is they want to know where they're going. They want to know what the journey looks like, and they're exactly the same online. These people are investing online. They're spending a good amount of money to go into a subscription or have an online lesson. So it's not like they're looking for a quick hit, cheap golf coaching session. They're looking to be developed just as much as they would be if they're coming for in-person. So I think that's an important part of it. And also just letting the client know, look, I can cover all parts of performance. It's not just swing. It's short game. It's putting. It's bunker play. We can do course management. We can talk about sports psychology, fitness, nutrition. I can build your lesson plan. There's all these little things that you need to just let them know they can access. And then if they understand that it's not just swing, they're not like, okay, my swing is good, and now that's the end of my subscription. It's like, okay, now I want to start doing short game. And if you've got things like the Arcos or some sort of stats app that you can reflect on, and you go, okay, well, look, the swing's getting great, our approach play is getting better, but now we got to start looking at that short game. You're losing 3 shots from 50 yards and in. And then, the guy understands where I need to go. And that's just part of what you do in person, and it shouldn't be any different online.
100%. Yeah, couldn't agree more. And as we say, like with the Arco stuff, you can now quantify all of that stuff. And yeah, I mean, the biggest mistake, I think most coaches are probably across this now, but like still the biggest mistake is when people get at their first lesson, they don't necessarily engage with the student prior. Like I know Alex Clapp, for example, like he doesn't even look at someone's goal swing until he's had a chat to them. Like they'll send swings through and he's like, I don't care about these swings. Like, let's jump on a Zoom. I want to know you. I want to know where we're going. I mean, we look where he's at. He's, 75, 80 subscribers and, taking on the world. So I think that stuff is just so important. The biggest mistake coaches can make is like, here's what's wrong with your golf swing. Good luck with that.
I know.
Let me know if you've got any questions, right? So much more.
You don't want to be transactional, do you? No,
not at all. Not at all. Super personal is everything. So anyway, so in closing, just like, congratulations is in order. Like, you don't have any furniture in your house right now because you're packing everything up.
I managed to find one chair.
Yeah, you headed back. You headed back home because now, I mean, I suppose, the great thing about, the platform is that you can still access all of your clients and like teach everyone
Yeah.
across the world. But like, what's next for you?
So, I mean, a big part of this will be developing the online and really just making that platform better. So that's what I'm doing with a lot of my subscribers now. I'm just sort of having Zoom with them and just saying, look, hey, like I know you're enjoying, I know you're on board, but like, how can I make this better? So I'm now looking over the next few weeks to really get the platform polished up, add some more value for the clients. They really feel like they're getting the best service out there. And then that'll be part of my long term is really just developing that online, be a big part of what I do on a day-to-day basis, give me more flexibility. I got 3 kids. I want to get that nice balance as well. Be around for my wife to help with some bits and stuff. So I think that'll be a big part of it. I'll continue to travel with some of my players on the tour. And as we talked about earlier on, running some sort of clinics, and then I've got some opportunity with some academies or potentially looking at my own sort of academy studio. So at the moment, weighing all those options up, but certainly Skillest is my main focus over the next 3 to 6 months.
Well, that's fantastic. Hopefully Cameron doesn't want to kill me for providing this platform for you and allowing one of his stars to like return home. But mate, it's been an absolute pleasure having you involved in the app and the platform so far, and can't wait to see where you take it from here.
Yeah, no, appreciate all your support as well. You've been awesome. You're always so good on jumping on a call with me and just going through stuff and just giving me some ideas. So yeah, appreciate the feedback and just love what Skillest are creating out there.
Just the beginning, mate. Just the beginning. So
yeah.
Thank you. Awesome, mate. Well, good luck with everything. Safe travels home, and yeah, we'll speak to you again soon.